Welcome back, guys, to Men a Lot. In today's video, we'll be talking about something that I just don't understand about debating. Like, there's this debate that happened between Rachel Wilson and, I don't know her name, NotSoErudite, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce it. She's a liberal woman. So she talks about how the topic of the debate was, is feminism doing more harm than good? And there's this one thing that I just disagree so much. Like, I just don't understand why people do it. So at some point in the argument, Kyla talks about this. I'll walk you step by step.
Economy, but has also been taken over by feminism, and they have 0.7 births per woman right now. So there's not going to be a South Korea in the next 20 or 30 years if they don't turn it around.
I'm curious, what's the number one correlate to declining birth rates in a nation?
Women's access to higher education.
Correct. Yes, women's access. It's actually everyone's access to higher education. So I'm curious, would you consider Saudi Arabia particularly feminist?
Not particularly feminist.
Qatar?
No.
Okay, so the Gulf states also have declining birth rates, but feminism isn't causing that. What's happening there?
Because they've started.
Saudi Arabia, famous for feminizing. Qatar, famous for feminizing.
They have started letting women work. They've started allowing things like birth control.
Their birth rate's been declining for a long time. Actually, it's below replacement now.
Yes, everybody in first world economies where there's urbanization, industrialization, as I explained, that's what enables feminism.
So isn't it urbanization that we're blaming here? Because I feel like there's an interesting
thing. Not until you
thing.
push women into the workforce and they stop having kids. Again, if women were working as nurses and still having 2.5 kids per woman, I would have no problem with it.
Let's stop it here because I want to talk about something. You see what she did here, the liberal woman, NotSoErudite? Like, if someone makes an argument, right, and it's like an absurd argument. For example, if someone says, well, let's talk about anything. Someone says, well, killing people is right. It's good. You will say, yeah, that's just an absurd argument, right? How do you even say that? I don't know why someone would say that. But if someone makes an argument about the topic that you're talking about, or here's one thing that I will say, because this is what happened in the debate. If you watch the debate, they were insulting each other, right? Rachel was calling her Admiral Mount, and she was calling her old, and things like that. If someone insults you, you're going to be like, yeah, fuck you. Call them names, fine. But if someone is like talking to you, and they're giving you an example. So she says, the point that I'll make it simple for you, the whole topic of the argument was, the debate was, is feminism doing more harm than good? Rachel, a conservative woman, was representing a conservative position. Women being in workforce has made the fertility rate of the country gone down, and for that reason, it's about to go below replacement rate, and in 100 some years, our country won't even exist. Makes sense. Good argument. Really not a point. It's like a concerning point. Yeah, okay. The feminist woman, NotSoErudite, makes a point and says, hey, that's like not really true. It's not because of feminization, it's because of other things apart from feminism, and blah 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 blah. They whole talk about, they insult each other. Here, when she gives a really good point, like this is like, she says, the feminist woman makes an argument and says, hey, if it's really the feminism that's making these things and fertility rate going down and all these problems, then what about the countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE, because they don't have feminism, blah 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 blah. And Rachel says, yes, but they have started to have it because they're growing at really fast pace. They've started to have it, and you can see and she didn't make this argument, but I think you can see a correlation between women's participation in workforce going up and their fertility rate dropping down. So you get what I'm saying, right? Like, if someone makes this argument, you could be like, yeah, okay, let me think about it. I don't know. If I know about it, I'm going to talk about it. If I don't know, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably check it, right? But she says, she just exaggerates the point and says, yeah, Saudi Arabia known for feminism. Why would you do that? Like, can't you just engage with what she said? That's what I just disagree with. And I think Rachel does this in debate too, probably, I don't know. But this is the reason I'm just making this video. Why do people do that? If I don't know about some topic, I'll just be like, yeah, I don't know. You tell me, I don't know. And just be like, yeah, okay. But is it the ego or what is it? Like, if someone makes, this is a good point. This is a good counterpoint of Rachel's argument that, hey, why do you think Saudi Arabia has, even after having less feminism or no feminism, why do you think, their fertility rate continues to decline? Yeah, because of, first, you know what, I'll give you my reasons too. Because if I have to be in Rachel's position, this is what I'll say. First of all, what she said, yes, workforce participation gone up, and their fertility rate gone down. But also, they're becoming more and more westernized. It's not like Saudi Arabia is growing their, like, of course they have their own culture, but day by day, increasingly, because of social media and the internet, the Western culture is just spreading real fast. And all these like third world countries, and almost all the countries that have access to internet are coming closer to Western countries and becoming more and more westernized. The clothes, the culture, the pop culture, the movies, the songs, all these things are just being like capturing these countries like crazy. So Saudi Arabia is becoming more and more westernized, and when they become more and more westernized, they're also going to import cultural things about Western nations, which is one of the things is like feminism and all these things. That could be a good argument. But if your counterpoint to a good counterpoint of the argument that the person was making would be is to mock that person, and I just don't think that's good. I think that's dumb, and you should probably not do that. By the way, I think there's just one last thing that happened. By the way, before you go away, I do think there's just some person in the end comes up and says something about Saudi Arabia or something.
All right.
Right.
Next
So
up.
this is the argument that they were making.
I need folks just so they can hear the speaker.
You mentioned Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but from 1960 to today, Saudi Arabia's female participation rate went from 15% to over 35%, and they've delayed the time to have a first child to almost age 27. How does that not make Rachel's point?
Because again, I don't think I would look at Saudi Arabia as a bastion of it. In fact, Saudi Arabia.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Like why would you say that? You don't have to look at something to, like, for example, if I say, oh, I can fight or I can box, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you can beat Mike Tyson. No, I'm just saying that this is the fact. Like, this is what I could do. Like, she's just making an argument that Saudi Arabia has a correlation between increased workforce participation of women and their birth rates declining. You don't have to say that that's the most feminist thing ever. You just have to say, like, okay, that makes sense. That kind of makes sense with Rachel's argument. But she's always like, I just don't see that as the bastion of feminism. I don't know why. Maybe she makes a good point after that. I don't know. But I just wanted to talk about this and say, I don't know why people do it. If you know, let me know. This is it. If you want me to make a full analysis, I do got some things to say about this. I will. If you want me to, let me know. See you soon. Till then, take care, everyone, and bye-bye.